So in this lesson, we will demonstrate the self-healing feature in Kubernetes cluster. So let's jump to our terminal. So kubectl get deployments. I have one deployment that is already there. But what if an administrator mistakenly delete those pods? So let's demonstrate that. Kubectl get pods. So let's check it in terms of nodes. So they are running both on node 1. So let's try to delete one pod. So I have to put a pod here. So now if we take a look at the pods again. Now as you notice, we have deleted a pod, but Kubernetes quickly responded and create a new pod, as there are 2 pods in that deployment. So Kubernetes constantly checks the status of the cluster and attempts to match it with previous status. If it finds any change in that, it will try to move back to previous state for deployments or resources. So if a node goes down, what happens and how Kubernetes tackle this kind of situation? Now let's take a node for the pods on which nodes they are running. So let's check it again. So now the pods are running on node 1 and node 2. Now let's stop the kubelet service on node 2 and see what happens. It will take some time to notice that node 2 is down. So let's jump to our node 2 terminal. So let's stop the service of kubelet. Service kubelet stop. So now the kubelet service has been stopped. Let's jump back to our kube master. Now let's clear our screen and check the status of the nodes. It will take about 5 minutes to look for the status of Kubernetes deployment, and then it updates itself. So after waiting 5 minutes, we will check the status of the pods, as a new pod will take its place. So let's check the nodes again, and as you can see that it's showing is in not ready state. So let's check the pods again. You can find the threshold for the Kubernetes pods to be updated itself with the Kubernetes cluster. So we will find it via describe pod and then pod name. And this is a threshold for the pods to update itself and get the new update from the Kubernetes cluster. So now let's check the pods again and also check it with respect to nodes. So after waiting for 5 minutes, we will check the pods again, and as you can see that this pod has been replaced by this pod, and it's been created on node 1 because on node 2 kubelet service was down. Now if we up the service of worker node 2, and let's see the pod status. So let's jump back to the node 2 and start the service of kubelet. Now let's jump back to master. As you can see that the previous pod is terminated itself, which has the status of unknown, this pod. So that's a quick demonstration on Kubernetes self-healing.